Greetings, friends. Your cartoonist pal Stan here with a brand new episode of Random Encounters, show where I use random encounter tables like the kind you find in tabletop role-playing games, such as Dungeons and Dragons, together with input from uh, electronic dice. Blah 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 blah. Oh, we're starting good today. I can feel it coming on. Start with electronic dice and input from you, folks who are in the live chat room, to create randomly generated, never before seen drawing prompts, and I will draw those. I will take those prompts, and I will take them, and I will, since they were drawing prompts, I will draw them while you're watching for your entertainment and mine. I do this because it's fun. It's a fun little drawing game, and I invite you to play along with me. Grab your favorite pen and pencil, pen and paper, sketchbook, stack of printer paper, the back of some envelopes, whatever, notebook, crayons, markers, whatever you like. Just draw for the fun of it. Draw like you did when you were a kid. That's what I'm trying to get people to do, to just reconnect with the fun of drawing. I think we all, when we were younger, used to draw. I used to just spend afternoons drawing for no good reason. And all right, yes, I turned it into a cartoonist. Why? Because I never gave that up. I had lots of friends. We would just sit around and do that. But, you move on, you get older, you stop doing that, and you start thinking, well, I'm no artist. Well, you know what? We're all artists. In here, where it counts. Hello, Michael in chat. How you doing? Draw like YouTube isn't watching. Exactly. Because unless you're me, YouTube isn't watching. So yeah, I encourage you, please. And you don't have to draw the same thing I'm drawing. I'm not saying that you've got to try and create these weird. I do this. It's a challenge, right? This is fun for me because it's a challenge. It's drawing something I hadn't thought of. Just in a same kind of way, like in Pictionary, where it said, draw this thing, draw that thing. You didn't think about it. How are you going to do it? Well, you get to see how I'm going to do it here as we draw and have some fun together. How are you doing tonight, Michael, in chat? Things going good there in chat? Yeah, that's what we're going to do. I, of course, was just drawing before this. Actually, I looked up. I set an alarm for myself when I'm going to do this show at about half an hour early, so I can get ready. And I got all ready, and then I thought, well, there's plenty of time. I'll just go back and finish the drawing I was working on, or continue to work on the drawing I was working on. And time slipped away, and I looked up, and it was like 3 minutes before time to come on here. So I'm still kind of moving around, trying to get myself set, because I was too busy drawing to get ready to draw. Craziness. The kids are fine. Glad to see it. Glad to hear it. Okay. Let's see. What am I going to do next? I'm going to grab my iPad Pro. I do all my drawing here on an iPad Pro using the Apple Pencil and the app Procreate, none of which are sponsors. There are no sponsors on the show. Those I always say every week. I'm completely open to taking some sponsors. Apple Procreate, give me a call. To anyone, give me a call. Someone call. So I'm going to get this all set here. Is that set? That's set. All right, now I can show it to you. Come over here and hit the button, and we'll switch over to this view, and you can see that this is the encounter table, or the set of encounter tables that we're using for tonight's show in a very vibrant blue-green color. I didn't realize it was quite that strong. You never know till you see it on. So it looks different on my iPad than it does when it gets sent out to my main monitor and then onto the internet. Anyway, there we go. You ready? I'm ready. Let's do this thing. All right, so come over here and we will grab the dice and we'll roll some dice. Roll them, roll them, roll them, roll them, roll them. And 9 and 6. I don't know. I may have to check out a new uh, randomizer. A lot of 9s and 6. I know I say this all the time. The thing about randomization is it doesn't look random. There's a lot of what the mathematicians call clumping in real randomization. But the last few weeks, we've been getting a lot of 9s and 6s on this app. All right, so it's a 9, it was a 9 on the white and a 6 on the black. So that means we got a Shambling Mound, Topiary. It's a weird combination. Shambling Mound, Topiary. So for those who don't know, a shambling mound in D&D terms is a big pile of vegetation, a big monstrous pile of vegetation. Think something like Swamp Thing, if you watched any of those old 80s horror movies or read any of the DC comics. And Topiary, of course, is a big hedge that's been trimmed to look like something. So a Shambling Mound, Topiary. Now, the first two ideas that come to my mind, Michael says the randomizer app isn't always random. Yeah, no, it's technically not possible for it to be truly random. These things simulate randomness, but the difference for the layman like us is technical. It's effectively random if it's done well. I've been using this one a lot. Right? I don't know. The D6s seem to do pretty well on the randomization. I'll give it another few weeks. But if we keep getting a lot of 9s and 6s, I may have to start thinking of something else. Yeah, is he self-grooming? Right. That's the other. There's the second thing that came to mind. Is he topiary? Is he like trimming his beard or giving himself a haircut? Or is he there could be like a Bride of Frankenstein bit where he's making a topiary of another shambling mound, either one that looks like him or one that looks like a lady shambling mound. And so let's see. The thing about that is a shambling mound is very much well, they've got a humanoid body, but they're very much just leaves and twigs and such. So, just kind of making a big, lumpy body shape. And we're going to have sticks and branches and some other things, roots, sticking out all over the body. And then we're going to have this other one here. Now the question is, if I want to make it look like him, I really got to figure out what he looks like before I spend too much time working on it. Now, often we'll see topiaries in the shape of like running animals or other cool things. Alright, I guess that's going to be, let's say it's a little hard for me to sketch out too much because everything is so amorphous almost. But here, I tell you what. So I'm gonna for the head shape. As I often talk about, it's work in generalized shape. So the head shape is going to be a small dome and a big chin like that. So over here on the top thing, I've got to give it a small dome and a big chin. Got a couple of eyes and a mouth here. Really trying to think of a, you know, let's say the two best Shambling Mound uh, characters that I can think of in to for that you might be aware of, or that people who aren't D&D players might be aware of, are comic characters Swamp Thing and Man Thing. Both of them are really grotesque. Like purposely so. Alright, there we go. I think I don't want to do this. I'm going to show the trimmers snipping a bunch. And have some motion lines to show that he's working on it. And then he's going to be saying something like magnificent or how regal or just like mom. I mean, the other thing I'm thinking of, we could have like a small woodland creature here looking at it and saying something like, I don't know. And he could be saying, it's like looking in a mirror. And this guy could be sitting here like an art critic. All right, let's go to the Line Slayer. Now this one's going to be a little weird again because they're so. Not only are they odd shaped, they are of an odd texture. Right? They're made up of bunches of leaves and shrubbery. Like so. Now, when it comes to drawing leaves and such, I think various artists, you come up with your own set of shorthands. Like if you've watched this or the other shows I do, the other drawing shows I do, I like to do this close, close cropped little loopy things, kind of like what you do for a cloud, only shorter and tighter together. Other people like to very much go for the squared off leaves of more of an oak or an elm. Oak. I want to add some roots. And some other details that are not leaves. But by and large, I'm going to do details on the things that need it, like the hands, the facial features and the hands. I've got to get much more detailed on, so it doesn't just seem like just a mess. Just like, you got to be able to figure out. I often say you want to make sure that the audience is thinking what you want them to think. So start with just normal hands and then make sure that I get the leafiness as a texture. I mean, on the whole, he kind of looks like he's made of leaves. It'll look more so when I color him green. That'll really start to come through. So yeah, what I'm doing here is, like I say, I'm starting with just the normal hands, but then I'm picking a little bit of those straight lines and adding that leafiness to it. If you were watching um, the 50 Years in the Dungeon show last night, I didn't talk about it much, but at the tail end of that, I was drawing. The background was just a row of trees at the end, and I did very much this same technique, just to create the feeling of a row of leaves, big bushy. It's the trees. It was like the edge of a forest. Michael says, "Missed a spot." And then I'm going to use the leaves here, like little toes. Everything I would put on a normal creature like this is just going to be a bit of a leafy shape. I think that overall this is if you are trying this at home, this is a pretty challenging one. Weird as it is, it's so weird that that's what makes it challenging. But again, uh, the I mean the two things I always say, right? One, which I said a little earlier, is all you're trying to do is make it close enough so that uh, when your viewer looks at it, they don't question it. It doesn't have to be right. It just can't be so wrong that it draws attention to itself. And the other thing I often say is this is just a fun, quick exercise. This is not going to be a finished piece that's worthy of uh, publication. Um, uh, now I want to draw our little rodenty guy. He doesn't need a lot of details. Unclear to me what he is. Is he a mouse? Looks like he might be a mouse. Now let's come up here and we're going to draw our Topiary. Man Thing debuted before Swamp Thing. You know what? I remember being uncertain about that. I think that Swamp Thing actually debuted first. Um, because the reason I say that is I think that I used to think that Man Thing debuted first. That's my gut feeling. Um, but I don't know. You know who'd know? Wikipedia. Trying to think again about what I'm going to have him saying over here. And I'm coming up with different, you know, just like looking in a mirror really isn't grabbing it for me. Maybe, I mean, the next thing I thought of was such a noble visage or something like that. And then I was thinking maybe just having him, I call it self portrait number 12 or something like that. And I'm kind of leaning that direction. All right, let's put these snips in. Snip. Snip. I call it Portrait of the Artist. Not only do we need the leaves on the ground, we need some flying off in the air because he's cutting it. Um, let's see. Man Thing first appeared uh, in the black and white magazine Savage Tales #1 with a cover date of May 1971. Swamp Thing debuted in the House of Secrets #92, cover date of July '71. Very close. Very close. Well, and you say, Michael, you say there, knowing the time delay for comics. I mean, certainly they had to have been worked on simultaneously, and the companies DC and Marvel were not certainly talking to each other a lot. But there was a small group of a small art community, and it's entirely possible that um, Steve Gerber, who I believe created Man Thing, and Len Wein, who created Swamp Thing, uh, knew each other socially and might have been talking about the fact that they were doing these similar things. And of course, Bernie Wrightson was a big deal at that point. It's horror comics and such. All right, I think I'm going to say I call it self portrait in green. In green, self portrait. Yeah. I do like the "you missed a spot" line for the little mousy, but all right. So let's turn off the line, the sketch. That looks fine. Go to the coloring, and we're going to switch to our gloaming brush and a nice green. I don't know. We could have our uh, have the artist be a different color green. Certainly, as we saw, if we're going to talk about Swamp Thing and Man Thing, they both were very swampy and had a lot of browns as much as they had greens in their color palettes. Here again, this color finding the shapes within the shapes is especially helpful in something as blobular as one of these things. All right, so we're going to take a darker green. This is definitely going to rely on some shading, some layering. So we're going to need a little brown for the roots. And maybe a much lighter green for a couple of these other leaves that are in there. Yeah. And what else we need? We need to get the clippers, kind of a silver-ish color. And then a different green for a different brighter green for the topiary. The same kind of shape within the shapes. We find the arms and the fingers. Each of theirs, we want it to be puffing out. So each layer is getting its own shape. And like before, we're going to go with a darker version of the same color to do that shading, and had the little puffing out at the below each puff for sure. Put a shadow to emphasize that puffing. One goes over the other. Where they meet, that's an underside. We're going to get a little bit of shadow. And then back and make sure we color all of our flying leaves so that they read as leaves. Otherwise, it could just be generic comic-y fluff stuff, energy. There we go. And we got a little rodent-y fella here. having a look. I do like the idea of having him say something, but I've really put it in a place where there's nowhere for it. I could give it a could go and create a new layer. Let's just do that. Let's create a new layer. A new pair of layers, in fact. And on one of them, turn off the lines. No, I can't turn off the line. Oh, I got to turn back on the sketch. Turn on the sketch. I can turn that off. We want him to say, "You missed a spot." Down there, and then we're going to come up, do that on a new layer. And do a very simple word balloon, and just a line for a tail instead of the fully finished thing. The reason I have a second layer there is I'm then going to take this balloon and I'm going to fill it in with a solid white, which means that when I turn our layers back on down here, it's floating above them. So even though I didn't leave myself any room, I could fit that in. You missed a spot. Michael says, I don't think I've ever seen you draw a word balloon over top of my art. Usually I just work it in, particularly for these quick drawings. When I'm doing other, doing full page comic book stuff, I very often will put the letters and word balloons on another layer because kind of like I do, and I know I don't do this on this show. On the other show, when I'm drawing different layers of creatures within the drawing, I'll sometimes draw things which won't be seen. I'll finish the drawing of the creature, and that allows me to shift things around if they're not laying the way I want them to, and there is the full creature behind there, so I can hide some or shift it around. And the same thing is true with word balloons in a fully finished comics page. I very often will draw the whole image with an idea of where the word balloons are going, a very strong idea of where I think the word balloons are going. But that leaves me the freedom to, if it's not laying out exactly the way I want it to, or if I need to change the words later on, or remove a word balloon, the image is ready for it. Here, for the stuff we do here, this is all super quick, and there's not going to be that kind of fiddling around. Okay, let's see what time it is. We took a little extra time on this one, and I'm okay with that. We'll go back to the inking layer. I'm going to put my little stand in the corner. And I'm going to say, we have ourselves a Shambling Mound working on a Topiary. First drawing done. Let's have a little sipperoonie. And dive right into the second one. Get the board all ready. We're going to close out group 1 and turn on group 2. Make sure we're back with the right brush and the right color. Turn on the tables, and we had, interestingly enough, a Shambling Mound working on a Topiary for our first drawing. Let's go back to the dice and see what we get for our second drawing. So come here, and we're going to roll them, and we got a 10 and an 8. So 10 is an adventurer. I know. I make it that way. 10 is adventurer, and 8 is on the Colbert show. Oh, I was kind of hoping if Colbert came up, it would be a monster of some sort. All right, so adventurer on Colbert show. So those of you who you may or may not know, Stephen Colbert of the Late Night with Stephen Colbert show is a huge Lord of the Rings fan. Alright, so what I'm going to want to do is I'm going to want to have a desk with a Stephen Colbert behind it. And we're going to want to have a guest seat. Maybe a hint of it, because there's often two. He's usually got these blue sheets with questions on it. Alright, so let's zoom in there. Now the question is, what do we want to do for the adventurer? Now, we could go with a monstrous adventurer. We could have I'm thinking that we have a halfling here, standing on the chair. I'm thinking of playing on the Tolkien D&D difference, right? That he's going to be saying, for the last time, I'm a halfling rogue, not a hobbit thief. And Colbert can be saying something like, "You're so cute. How are things in Hobbiton?" Adventurer on Colbert. Now, of course, if I really wanted to look like I was definitely drawing a hobbity outfit there, so I wanted to look like a halfling rogue. I've got to armor him up and Actually, you know what? Of all the things that I'm looking at here, I think that given this is a not half bad Colbert, given that I didn't really practice, I just relied on the fact that, oh, Colbert, what do I need to draw him? He's, he's got that kind of angular face and the glasses, and that's all I really need to worry about. But for the last time, I'm a halfling rogue. Let's see. I'm looking at this already. Just from a scale size, I need to make him a little bigger. I need to make Colbert a little bigger. Thinking. All right, let's erase this here and kind of, you know what? This is going to be a pretty easy. Let's do the drawing, but think about it. Like how to massage that. I'm a halfling rogue, not a hobbit thief. Do we have instead have Colbert saying what's it like in Hobbiton, and then underneath we have I'm leaning towards that. Right, so Colbert will say, "What's it? How are things in Hobbiton?" And he'll say, "You know, I'm a halfling thief. I'm not." So the problem with this as a single panel comic is that it's so hard to trim those words down. Trim it down. All right, let's do the actual drawing and get back to this. We'll figure it out at the end. Maybe since it's all up there, I won't draw anything back there. He's mad. This little guy's mad. And maybe I don't even say, we know, right, that the halfling rogue is what he should say. I like what you said, Michael. That's tokenist. I think that may be a thing. Like I've told Colbert saying, "How are things in Hobbiton?" and then this guy saying that's tokenist. You're so Tolkienist. We can figure that out. But let's play around with that a little. I know it's just you and me tonight, Michael. But well, no, I would say I see you out there. I see there are other people watching. You don't have to join in, but this is your invitation if you're out there and want to. Pop in and have a voice on how we're going to wind up phrasing this gag. Now let's see. We'll get a desk done. Put the other chair here. Sound. I think I should at the Late Show. Oh yeah. Oh, I'm for sure gonna uh, hashtag the Late Show when I post this. I'm just thinking. I might even want to hashtag the Late Show if I can and clip this and do it as a standalone video and clip the Late Show. All right, it seems that's about as far as I want to go here. Let's do some coloring on this. Yeah, it's looking pretty good. One of the Late Show writers is a very accomplished cartoonist who does stuff for The New Yorker, among other places, named Asher Perlman. I suppose even if I don't get Steven's attention, maybe Asher will see that. Drop me a line. Give me a call, Asher. Very funny guy, really great cartoonist. I just, in fact, was watching him the other day. He was a guest on a live stream show that another cartoonist who I really love, um, Jason Chatfield, the two of them were having a live stream on Substack, and that was a lot of fun. I tell you, you know what? I actually, hey Asher, if you are watching this, I'm the one who said that Eugene's dog should be named Eugene. That's me. You think I'm really funny already? You just didn't know it. They're doing a drawing. He has a character that he has named Eugene, and Eugene has a dog. I've now given the end of this story away, and they were trying to figure out, incidentally, what Eugene's dog's name might be, and it was chat. So I just kind of threw in there. I thought Eugene's dog's name was also Eugene, and Asher looked at that and laughed and said, "That's canon now." So yay me. All right, here we go. We're going to switch over to the gloaming brush. We are going to start doing some coloring here on the coloring layer, because we try to do things on the right layers, don't we? Don't we? Let's see. Stephen always, very often has on blue jackets. Not always, but very often. We'll give him a green tie so it doesn't look too Trumpian. These days, a red tie just looks very Trumpy. And we got the blue cards that he has with facts about the guests. We're going to do a faux black for the rogue's outfit. I still, you know what? I guess it's true. There's a lot of things that I carry over from third edition. I liked how things looked there. This rogue outfit that Lido wore, the black cat suit. Uh, I still use that a lot for my generic rogue drawings. Quick sketch there. Little light blue on the sword. And I think we'll go with that. I believe actually the seats on the Colbert set are blue, but for contrast's sake, we're going to go with a green here. I may be giving up the fact that I am a big fan of the Colbert Show. I watch a lot of it. I'll say, with how much of a fan Colbert is of Tolkien and D&D to a lesser extent, I did hope that one day I could do something that might get me a guest spot on the show for some reason. That seems highly unlikely, but dreams are called dreams because they're not real. But now the show is going to be canceled at the end of this season. That's seeming like that's never going to happen. Who knows what show he's going to do afterwards? Maybe I'll be on the next iteration of whatever Colbert does. All right, that's looking pretty good. Let's put a little shading in, and then we have to worry about the question I've been putting off, and that's, how are we going to phrase this? But by and large, I think we're done here. we've got to get some words on here. What do I want to do? I want to come back and put the sketch layer up, and we got to figure out what the words are going to be. Do I know what Colbert's first RPG was? Off the top of my head, Asher the basketball guy? Yes, Asher is the basketball guy. If you watch Colbert, you'll know what we're talking about. That's Asher Perlman. Funny writer on their staff, funny guy as you've seen on those clips, and a terrific cartoonist. I hate him already. No, I love him. All right. How are we going to do this? We're now back to that question. So I feel pretty confident that he's going to be saying, so how are things in Hobbiton? Got to move that around. It's not working as a layout. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to erase the so. I'm going to grab the how are things, center it, and I'm going to take all of that and move it over here. We'll make a so up top. So, how are things in Hobbiton? Ooh. That's so tokenist. That's sometimes you do jokes that are oh, I put it on the wrong layer. Well, it's thankfully easy to fix. I'm going to grab all of that. And I'm going to grab all of that, and I'm going to, come on. All right, we'll try this again. Grab all of that. And no, come on. Whew. Cut and paste. So now it's on its own layer. I can drag it down here. Come on. Wow. This thing is just not wanting to cooperate. Drag it down there. I can even merge it back with the sketch so they're all in one layer. The answer is his first role-playing game. You know, I might have heard him tell that on an interview, but I had totally forgotten. His first role-playing game was Metamorphosis Alpha. You know what? I do know that because I remember that I thought, ooh, I've got to tell Jim Ward that the next time I talk to him. And I forgot to. That's what I remember, is that I forgot to tell Jim Ward that. And now it's too late. And where's the punchline there? Alright, gotta move things around a little more. So gotta grab, what do I need to do? How am I gonna make this work? I'm gonna grab this, move it a little more over here. I think I want to add an ooh. I know I said it out loud. Ooh. Now I need to grab that. Move it maybe a little down there. Alright, so now turn off the sketch so I can just look at what we got here. How's that? That's going okay. That's going alright. Let's move things around a little more. I know I'm fiddling around. You know why I'm fiddling around? Because I want Colbert to be impressed. I've suddenly gone from it being from my usual watchwords of this is just quick, we're just doing a throwaway, to I'm not going to redo this gag, so this is it. So I want it in the end. I want Colbert to be impressed. Mm. Nope, come on. Let's move this just a little more. Just a smidge more. So that now I can get a circle around it. Now I need to move it a little more again. So that it's centered in there. There we go. Okay. Whew. Breaking my own rules. And let's see. What I do? I want to come back here, and I want to also make this. I think I want to go to the colors layer here. I'm going to add a, no, a black, no. Just a little coloration to show how mad he is. Alright, let's turn the sketch back on because I do need to add a little bit of background on this. And then we'll be done. I promise we'll be done with go and do a third drawing. This is already taking longer. Already taking so long. And then, having put those lines in, I think we do need just a smidge of color. Just a smidge. Okay. Now I'm not liking how that color is working in the balloon. That gray with the purplish, it's not playing well. I'm going to go back to that idea of a red or an orange. All right, we're done now. I'm going to say it. I've wasted more time on this than it. I just looked up and saw that you made a New Zealand joke, which I haven't even seen what it is, but I think that's funny. And we're going to stick a little stand down here. So, how are things in Hobbiton? Oh, that's so Tolkienist. Woof. That was a quick idea that I let get out of control. I think I can get away with putting another word balloon. Says I'm a hamster. I've never even been to New Zealand. Yeah, I've never even been to New Zealand. That's funny. That's a good line too. That's a good line too. You know, if you'd come up with that, thrown that in earlier, I'd have been really torn between what I've written here and that one. But at this point, I'm declaring this done because it's already 7:15, and we've only finished 2 drawings. All right, let's have a drink. Do one more drawing quick. Let's do a quick one this time, shall we? And then that'll be that. We'll wrap it up. So I need to. What do I need to do? I need to. I need to come back here and close out round 2 and turn on round 3. Make sure I'm back to the right brush and color. Turn back on the encounter tables. Oh boy. And all right. Took a little longer than I anticipated working on our second drawing, which was an adventurer on the Colbert Show. It was very funny. If you're tuning in, if you somehow skipped over that to get here, go back and watch it. the reason the reason I took so long was I cared about it. And Michael in chat, super helpful, really responsible for it being as funny as it is. So there we go. However, I'm still, even though I'm getting close to the time I'd usually wrap up, we're going to do our third drawing because that's the way we run here. So let's come back and go to the dice and roll them. Roll them. We're going to get our third pair of numbers and see what we get. Double aught, that's, well, first of all, I know that won't work because we already used an aught, but let's see. A 1 and a 6. Or a 6 and a 1. So, it would be a kobold apple picking. 10 on the other side is at the zoo. What do you think, Michael? What do you want to do? We could do a ghoul apple picking. We could do a kobold at the zoo. We could do a kobold apple picking. We could do something else entirely. What do you think? You've been having lots of good ideas tonight. It's been a weird night. The Shambling Mound and the Topiary. The halfling on Colbert. It's just, oops. Oh, dear. What did I do? Did that come back? That was a bad... Okay, still there? Good. At the zoo, and the lion is looking hungrily at the kobold. Okay. Alright, kobold at the zoo it is. So we're going to start with a kobold. And very old style zoo. Zoos aren't like this anymore, but we could definitely have a... Let's shrink this up a little. So the question I'm getting in my head as I'm drawing this is the kobold scared of the lion, or is it the kobold taunting the lion? It's the lion. So that's one way to go about this. Let's take this. Let's. I know. I would say I'm gonna go quickly, but then I have ideas. So then, the other hand, I could have the lion be more anthropomorphic, up against the bars, like reaching out, saying, "Buddy, help me." The line could be saying like, "How'd you get out of the reptile house?" So let's grab that and make it a little smaller. I'm kind of liking that anthropomorphic lion. I'm liking him. And then there could be the kobold down here. Not loving that kobold. The kobold could either just be standing there looking at him, or like could have him walking by, like I did before. Yeah, whatever you do, don't go to the reptile house. It's another. Yeah, I think that's probably the better way to do that one. Now, I'm just trying to decide whether I want to have him looking back over his shoulder like that, or kind of walking by nonchalantly and looking back. I think that's funnier. He could have a thing of popcorn that he's eating. All right, I think we've got the. I'm gonna grab this and I'm gonna copy and paste it so it's got its own layer. Now here's another one where, so the challenge is going to be that these bars go in front, which is just a pain in the butt for drawing. Now things that I draw digitally, it's not the pain in the butt it used to be. But it's still a little bit of a pain in the butt. Now, Kobold's going to be wearing a tunic because, you know, he's not a monster. I mean, he's a monster. In which edition did kobolds become draconic cousins? It got played in third edition is where it kind of got codified. It was something that got monkeyed around with a bit in second edition, but I think that it was in the write up for third edition that it got very strongly put into the. And it wasn't even that they are; it's that they claim to be. Like kobolds, many kobolds like to think that they are related to dragons. It's how they um, uh, puff themselves up. All right, let's go to the Lion Slayer and put that out there. God, I just hate having to work with the bars, but it's important. I mean, I could have him sticking his head through the bars, but I think it's actually funnier if he doesn't. I don't know. Maybe I'll do. I'm looking at this, and I don't want to have to deal with those bars. So he will somehow have gotten his head through these bars. And then over here, the bars will start to come up and down all the way. There we go. Again, I could tell it's getting late because I've stopped talking now. I just realized I just spent 2 or 3 minutes not saying anything. Oh, so they're parasocial draconics. Yeah, the weird thing is I do remember when we talked about this uh, that it would, because we realized that not everyone would want that to be the case. So that um, we very much put it in there in such a way that each DM could decide whether or not they want that to be the case. Are they just reptilian, or are they actually draconic? Well, and most people, it seems like most people have over the years come down on the fact that they are draconic. Um, but uh, it, it was not certain that that was the case. All right. Now I've spent all this time drawing the lion, and the kobold is the one that got pulled up on the chart. Well, kind of. I know that when we were playing, I was playing in a third edition. It started as our third edition um, playtest. That's how long ago it was. It was what uh, in house we'd put together a group, and it was what we were playing to kind of get ourselves associated with the game. And every time a new version would come out, we'd have to update our characters because although it was clearly let's do this to learn the game. It became our regular game, and uh, one of the characters had. Speaking of parasocial, are they really dragons or not? One of the characters was a sorcerer with a familiar that was a pseudo dragon that claimed that he was going to grow up to be a real dragon, or that he was a dragon. Not even that he was a dragon, but he was a pseudo dragon. And the funny thing is that pseudo dragon familiar was more interesting than the main character, and he really became the star of the pairing. All right, let's turn off the sketch layer and finish this out a bit. Add a few little extra lines just to clean it up. I guess we haven't put the words in for the lion either. He's going to say, whatever you do, stay away from the reptile house. Looking good. Hey, Chris Andrew. That yeah. Chris Andrew comes and says, "Asks right away. Do you have a caption? His caption is, I may be king of the jungle, but my kingdom for that popcorn." Yeah, that would work. All right, let's do some coloring and wrap this up. How you doing, Andrew? I'm glad that we're still around. I get you're sorry you're late, but life. And the good thing about it, you can always catch it on replay, which means you can fast forward through the boring parts. You may notice that we're here a little later than usual. That's because I went nuts on the second one. You'll want to go back and watch that second uh, drawing from tonight. Um, and I took a bunch of extra time. We were a little behind our usual schedule to begin with, and then that second drawing came along, and I kept fixing things and worrying about things I shouldn't worry about. You'll see in a minute, right? Because at the end of the show, I'll show everything we've done tonight. Yeah, I'm definitely losing energy. I'm not flagging as in I don't want to draw anymore, but talking has now become something. If I'm not making myself do it, it's kind of flipping. It's skipping out of of the show. All right, so we're gonna get some last bits of color in here. No, I still haven't done the Kobold though. It's been a fun night for sure. You'd have had a great time if you were here. Like I say, thankfully it's on replay. For want of a colonel, the kingdom was lost. You guys, you crack me up. We're already almost done, and you're still making good suggestions. A little darker than that. I think I'm also going to give him yellowed eyes. A little darker than that. And I guess our lion's going to need a little bit of shading also. Just a bit. Again, it's one of those things that you just want to make sure that your reader isn't asking any questions that you don't want them to ask. And having put that bit of shading on the kobold, it just was missing on the lion. Drew a little bit of attention to itself. Go. I'm finding this amusing, which is, good. All right. There we go. Come back here right now. It's pretty much nothing I can do about it. Yeah, with a different expression on his face, that would be a really good caption too. But I think we're done. I think I feel a stand coming on. There we go. Got ourselves a kobold at the zoo. At the zoo. Fun night this was, gentlemen. Fun night. So let me just, I've had my sip. You ready? I was just saying, it was a fun night. We had a fun night tonight. Our third drawing was a kobold at the zoo. Our second drawing, for Chris Andrew, who was joining us late, was an adventurer on the Colbert Show. And our first drawing was a Shambling Mound and Topiary. Some interesting, not intuitive and sometimes weirdly intuitive options, which led to some fun drawing. I had a really good time. I hope you did too. Michael and Chris in the chat, both of you, I hope that you had fun. The rest of you who are watching in the chat, they were watching but didn't chat. No shade. Thank you for joining us. Those of you who are watching on replay, Thank you a lot. You could all do me a super big favor, and if you haven't already, subscribe to my YouTube channel. I know you could be watching this on a couple different places. Chances are, if you're watching it on replay, it's going to be on YouTube. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Also, give it a thumbs up, give it a like, and leave a comment. Leave a comment. I know you're two are talking in the chat. You know, you've heard it before. These new people watching on replay might not have. It's very helpful to me if you leave a chat. There's a reason all the YouTubers say click the like and leave a chat or leave a comment. Leave a chat. Leave a comment. It's because it's actually helpful. It helps to teach YouTube that people engage with the show. They like it enough to engage with it, which means they show it to more people. And that is good. We want more people to join us and have fun. And, you know, we want me to become super internet famous and make $1 bazillion. Or enough to buy a hamburger. Something. Make something. If you like what we're doing and you want to support my efforts, or, you know, you just want to join a cool group of a cool community of people who also like what I'm doing, well, maybe you want to stop by my Patreon, patreon.com/Stannex, STANNEX.com. And I make sure that everything I put into the world publicly gets delivered to your email box, your email inbox. Blah. And then other niceties. I've been thinking about some new things to add in as bonuses for people that are members of the community. They're not there yet, so I don't want to promise anything. But I think that over the next few months, there may be some new, even more interesting things for members only. So go ahead, give it a check. You can become a free member, and then you'll see. You'll see what's going on. Some things are only for free members. Some things are going to be for paid members. And some things will be for upper level paid members. That's how these things go. That's how capitalism works, much to our chagrin. I'm not here to make $1 million, but I sure would like to have a dream that I could make enough money, just to make enough money from doing this, that this is all I do. Maybe not just the, random encounters, but these kind of shows and the drawing and interacting with you people. That would be great. Hello, Dale Donovan. Did you miss everything? Everything except for me, begging for monetary assistance. So you missed all the good stuff. Yeah. Patreon.com/Stannex. Go check it out. Like I say, there's some free stuff, and you can become a free member. And if there's a point in the future where suddenly you have gobs of cash rolling in and you want to help support some of the artists who have entertained you for free, you'll be right there. It'll be easy for you. I will be back next week. I'll be back tomorrow night. If you are a sumo fan, the Sumo Show will have a new episode tomorrow night because we've got a new tournament starting soon. If you're here for the D&D stuff, I'll be back next week. Until then, take care of each other, and